Are you telling secrets to the one guy you shouldn't tell secrets to? Is it worth your time and money to go and cook a dinner at the James Beard House? This is the industry standard. I'm your host, Brandon Sharp. Experience is a cruel teacher. She gives you the tests first and the lessons later. I created the industry standard so that when you are tested by the restaurant industry, you will have had the lessons and you will know the answers. On today's episode, I'm going to discuss the press, how to handle it, how to deal with them, who to say yes to, who to pass on to your PR company. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. First of all, the press is not your friend. In today's episode, we'll explore the best ways for you to handle the press. We'll decide whether certain opportunities will bring you short-term fame at the cost of long-term success. We'll give you a framework for setting career goals and figuring out what you want for you. Yes, never start a fight with anyone who buys ink by the barrel. But the critics, the newspapers, the reporters, the feature writers, the editors, they are not the gatekeepers that they once were. They are not the public's portal to you like they once were. Think of it as the difference between the Electoral College and the popular vote. There used to be the critics who held almost all the power. New York Magazine, New York Times critic, those two reviews would make or break a new restaurant in New York City. Now, with the democratization, with the popular vote, made up by Yelp, made up by Google reviews, made up by TripAdvisor, whatever you think of those platforms, whatever, other chefs think of their validity, other restaurant owners think of their validity and how much they piss us all off, you can't deny their influence. And those are the first places that people go to these days when they're going to a new city and finding out to eat. I don't think they look up the New York Times review of the new Italian restaurant in Midtown. I think, it's near their hotel. They go on Yelp, they go on TripAdvisor, and they see, if it's 4.8 or above, great. That's where we're going for dinner. Another player in that space used to be the Zagat Guide, and that was a very cool synthesis of popular vote because it was a little red book. They had obviously made it to imitate Michelin, but it was comprised of a 1 to 30 scale of people who wrote in to Zagat and gave their reviews of a restaurant. And so you'd get this published guide every year, all the restaurants in whatever city you lived in, rated from food, service, ambiance, scores from 1 to 30. And anything 26 or above was usually a pretty damn good restaurant. That has faded away. Zagat is gone as far as I know. Maybe they're still online somewhere, but I haven't seen a print edition of that in 10 years. Early on in my cooking career, I'm not going to name names here, but it was my first management job. And I worked at a restaurant that we had gotten 3 stars from the New York Times. And we'd gotten a good rating from the local critic at the biggest paper in town. My chef was on the way up. He'd been on the cover of the Best New Chefs issue of Food and Wine magazine. His name was getting out there. We got that highest rating that we'd been after from that food critic at the biggest paper in that city. And then before long, the chef had a cookbook. It's winning national awards. Every magazine that you open that was food or travel or sometimes home design, his face was in that magazine. Before long, he started to be on TV. He was on cooking competitions. You couldn't turn on Food Network, and watch for 20 minutes without seeing some mention of his, or see his face or see his quotation or see, something that he was doing on Food Network. And then he bought the restaurant that I worked in from the owner. He started to expand and his restaurant empire started to grow. I moved on. I moved away. 12 years later, when his empire came crashing down and he had to get out of town and get out of sight because a disgruntled employee blew the whistle on him, guess who wrote the feature article that brought him down? Yeah, I'm sure you only need one guess. It was that same food critic that had given him and given our kitchen the maximum rating 12 years before. So the press is not your friend. You are cannon fodder for them, both when your star is rising and maybe even more so when it's falling. Now, that's a truth that I wish I had found out sooner because I thought I always needed the press. I was hungry for their attention at all times. When I was a chef for the first time in Napa Valley, there was another chef about my age who was the shiny new thing. He got on a rocket took a meteoric ride into space, and he came crashing down, and it took him a long time to rise from those ashes and get back on his feet. Writers don't work for free, and neither should you. The magazines, the websites, the cooking shows, all of these are for profit. Even if you're going on WRAL, and doing a cooking segment on the local ABC station in the morning, they're selling ad space based on your performance and the fact that people are going to tune in to watch a live cooking demo. They're selling your face, your name, your recipes, and your quote about seasonal influences on the menu, all of it. So if you're showing up for an unpaid interview or at a booth at a food and wine festival for the exposure, and you're wondering what the product is in that transaction, make no mistake, you are the product. Now, listen, I get it. Hey, y'all, quick break. I don't accept ads. I don't take sponsors. So if you like what you hear, pause it, give us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify. Your rating goes a long way. All right, back to the show. I used to crave that attention like a cold Coke in the desert. I wanted to be in those magazines. I wanted to win those awards. I remember looking at that Best New Chef edition of Food and Wine magazine every year and shaking my head at the faces on the cover. I had worked for those guys. I had worked shoulder to shoulder with those guys. I had trained some of those motherfuckers. And some of them were fucking hacks. Some of them are great. Some of them are great. And some of them have my respect and deserve all of our respect. But some of them were hacks. And I couldn't believe it every year. And I would get so jealous. It was a head scratcher. And it stung to see that, to see them getting that recognition and me not getting it. And it still stings. But it kept me humble. It kept me hungry. So 2 of the themes of this show. So you can always work hard and be locally respected and sustainably profitable. Maybe that rocket ship ride into the stratosphere will be available to you. Maybe it won't be. But you can always work hard, head down, butts in seats, do the right thing, work a restaurant that's in the black, own a restaurant that's in the black, take home some money at the end of the day. Because if you get on that rocket and you come down, the press is going to be searching for that next shiny object. And the real trap that you can fall into is believing your own press. So you start thinking that the hype is real, you get sloppy, and you forget what put you on that magazine cover in the first place. Hard work, humility, and great food. Those will always keep you going. So let me break this next part down with an example. Let's imagine that you run a little Italian restaurant. Let's pick a tourist destination. Let's say Vail, Colorado. You don't sell merch. You don't ship nationwide. You don't have CPG in local stores. That's CPG stands for consumer packaged goods. You don't sell on Goldbelly. You make your money by selling food and wine to people who come to the restaurant, who come to the town, ski in winter, raft or hike or whatever in summer. Maybe you get something in mud season, but you get money by butts and seats, people buying food and wine at your restaurant. And that's it. That's the only way that you bring in revenue. But then you get the call from the James Beard Foundation. They want you to come all the way to New York and cook a dinner at the Beard House in New York City. Whoa, big honor, right? I mean, James Beard House, come on. Then you read the fine print. Let's see. You got to pay for your airfare, the airfare of anybody that you bring, hotel, your own food and wine. Plus, you got to ship all your ingredients. Maybe there's a modest stipend, but you got to ship all your ingredients, especially the wine that you want to bring. You got to bring your own labor. Yeah, they'll have some front of house labor to run the food and wait tables. And while you're in New York, y'all are all the way out in Colorado, and you keep reading about these New York restaurants. You guys are going to eat well while you're there. You're going to dine well. You're going to stay out late. You're going to go to the bars. You're going to do it up. You got to, make it fun for your team. You don't get to go to New York that often. You're in Colorado. You want to impress them. And so, the total for this, I added it all up. This is going to cost you about $13,000. That is not including either, the add on top of that, the lost revenue if you have to close for the days that you and your core team are gone to do this dinner. And also, or if you don't close, you're paying people to work 7 days, work 8 days. And so you're paying overtime pay just to keep your restaurant open. So that's a lot of money for one night of applause. Maybe there's a big ROI on that dinner. Maybe there's not. Yes, there is certainly some prestige involved in it. I don't dispute that. But the question that I want to ask you, that I want you to think about, is how long does it take for you to make back that $13,000 in profit that you just spent going to New York? And I don't mean $13,000 in top line revenue. I mean $13,000 at the bottom line, profit, take home pay after all the expenses are paid. If the answer is longer than one dinner, which it is, then you just got to ask yourself if this kind of exposure is helping or hurting your bottom line. The ROI may be years out. Yeah, it may be worth it. Don't get me wrong. There are things more valuable than money. Respect, legacy, personal fulfillment, satisfaction, and the idea that you matter in this industry. I get that. That's a big one. If you've always dreamed of cooking at the Beard House, especially if you have a restaurant that's close by and you don't have to get on a plane, definitely go for it. Do it. Not for the press, not for clout, not because someone else told you to. Do it for you. And that's the message of this episode, that you should know what you want and why. Don't do something for someone else's reasons, for your mentor's reasons, for your parents' reasons, for your instructor's reasons, for your last chef's reasons, for your owner's reasons. Do these things for you. Because your circle that you're surrounded by and the world itself is full of folks telling you what you should want. And most of the time, they're just projecting their own dreams, their own insecurities onto you. So if you want a Michelin star or a 4-star local review or a Ferrari or a pontoon boat because you think it would be awesome, because you want to have a fucking floating Taco Tuesday on Lake Havasu, fantastic. It is 100% acceptable to want what you want because you want it. Just make sure the reason is yours and not someone else's. Your career will progress. Your career will change. Your goals will evolve. You might wake up one day and realize the thing that you chased so hard, you chased so fast for so long, just doesn't matter to you anymore. And that's okay. That's growth. Cross it off the list. Get your eyes on the horizon again. To enjoy a better present, imagine a bigger future. And hey, y'all, if this one hit home, share it with someone you know who's starting to get some heat from the media. They need to hear this. Don't forget to follow The Industry Standard on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit those 5 stars. Stay humble. Stay hungry.